أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الصلاة والسلام على سيد الخلق وأعز المرسلين أبي القاسم محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
على آله الطيبين الطاهرين وعلى جميع أنبياء الله والمرسلين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. My dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Salawat ala Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Sallallahu alayka ya Abdullah. صلى الله عليك وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. أشهد أن الله يا مولاي قد طيب بك التراب وعظم بك المصاب وأجزل بك الثواب وأوضح بك الكتاب وجعلك وأمك وأخاك وجدك وأباك والمعصومين من بنيك عبرة لأولي الألباب. يا ابن الميامين الأطياب التالين الكتاب وجهت سلامي إليكم ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني للسلام عليكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين ورحمة الله وبركاته. We were talking yesterday about the description of the believers and the faithful in Al-Quran. And then we also moved to address the description of the hypocrites in Al-Quran. And then we said that in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke and described extensively the behavior of the hypocrites. And in order to identify their dangerous consequences on this ummah at that time, during the presence of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, and then later times after the death of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, and then during the periods of Al-Khulafa and Al-Awsiya, and during the Umayyad period and Bani al-Abbas period, from that time until today, maybe until Yawm al-Qiyamah, the hypocrites will always play a very destructive and dangerous role against this deen and against the mu'mineen. So why Al-Ayat spoke extensively about it? Because Allah wants us to warn us. And Allah wants to clearly show to us in order to avoid being a hypocrite and to avoid doing the conduct of the hypocrite. And there are a complete surah about the hypocrites in Al-Quran, as we said yesterday. I urge you, and I urge the sisters and the brothers, when we refer al-ayat to certain surah, make sure before you go to bed, read it. Read it. Salawat. I beg the sisters to give me their undivided attention, please. And the brothers. So, Al-Quran, the everlasting miracle of Islam, addressed every situation and every experience the early Muslims lived by sending revelation from God to the heart of the Prophet to address it and find the solutions. This is why we are saying that Al-Quran descended in the heart of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi in two ways. Al-Quran was in heaven in a place called Al-Lawh al-Mahfuz, the protected Lawh, board, sacred holy board. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi was giving Al-Quran at one point collectively. But from Al-Lawh al-Mahfuz descended on the heart of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi on certain successive interval of times. Why? لِيُثَبِّتْ بِهِ فُؤَادًا. So Al-Ummah can be trained and Al-Rasul, his heart, will rest assured with peace and utma'nan to solve every problem that arises and every challenge that's coming forth by listening to the revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And since his response is related to the revelation, وَمَا يَنطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. A lot of times Rasul wanted to speak, but he would hold himself as an act of ethical behavior with Allah. He would wait for the revelation to come or for the permission to be given. There was a debate in the presence of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi with Nasara Najran. There is one thing I want to make clear here. All the religions from the time of Adam, godly religions, heavenly religions, they serve the same truth. The message and the deen of Allah during the time of Nuh, at that time, Islam, at that time, was delivered by the Prophet of Islam at that time, Nuh alayhi salam. The Prophet of Islam during Moses' time is Musa alayhi salam. And the book of Islam at that time is At-Tawrah. The Prophet of Islam during Al-Nasraniyya time was Isa alayhi salam, Jesus, peace upon him. He was the Prophet of Islam, and Al-Injil, the Bible, is the book of Allah and the book of Islam at that time. In other words, if you bring all the prophets from the time of Adam until Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, and then you bring them here, supposedly, for example, they gathered here in this auspicious place. They don't argue. They don't fight. They don't quarrel. Why? Because their message is the same. The truth is the same. What the prophets delivered over the course of time was the true, pure, holy message from God to people. With the course of time, people changed the messages, altered the teaching of Allah. As we call it in American expression, he did not deliver the news correctly, he added salt and pepper. They changed the revelation. So what you see from the Islamic point of view, what you see in the world today, the Holy Book, the Bible, with all its 5 virgins, It's a book, a religious book that contains both false and truth. There are certain things that are true, and there are certain things that were changed over the course of time. The prophets, through the history of Islam, the history of mankind, through the course of the progress from the time of Adam until Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they were all pure, excellent character, exceptional people, high spiritual caliber. Their character is extremely spiritual, trustworthy, truthful, ethical. And yet, you would hear some stories in the Old Testament and in the New Testament about the prophets. You would wonder, how can a prophet act like that? So when the last revelation, Al-Quran, descended on the heart of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised two things. He promised to defend the legacy of the prophets, and he promised to protect the last revelation of التنزيل القرآن. إن نحن نزلنا الذكر وإنا له لحافظون. We have descended the dhikr, and we shall protect it. So the miracle of Al-Quran, it is a book that cannot be altered. Why? Allah promised He will protect it. And it revealed the truth about previous messages. It revealed the truth about previous messages. And it corrected what went wrong before. For this reason, Al-Quran speaks about Moses so many times, and spoke about Ibrahim several times, and spoke about Jesus several times, and spoke about David, and spoke about Solomon, and spoke about Yaqub, and spoke about Ayub, and spoke about Maryam al-Muqaddasa, the Holy Mary. Why? He wants to tell us the truth. And he wants to defend these holy characters because people, because of their sick psychological sinful act, wanted to change the teaching of God in order to serve their own interests. I'll give you a simple example. And this has a lot to do with Karbala and where Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Bear with me and we're going to relate. Okay? You might say, what do the Prophet has to do with this occasion? No, it is related. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of His wisdom, out of His rahmah, out of His intelligence, out of His karama, out of His compassion, His will, شاءت إرادة الله أن يختار الوقت ويختار المكان ويختار الزمان ويختار الإنسان. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He picked based on His own knowledge, times, places, and people. Isn't it true? When you go to Mecca and you pray in Masjid al-Haram, your salat there will be similar to your salat here? Is the deeds that you will get there is more, or the deeds that you will get here is more? Which one? In Mecca. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us every rik'ah in the house of Allah in Mecca is equivalent to 200,000 rik'ah of your rik'ah in your house. And then goes to Masjid al-Nabawi. Every rik'ah, 100,000 rik'ah equivalent to your rik'ah in your own house. Every rik'ah in this center will be 700 rik'ah equivalent more than a rik'ah in your own house. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the masses when they are believers. Allah loves the mu'mineen. Yadullahi ma'a jama'ah. The power of Allah is with the group, al-jama'ah. Why? Because Allah wants from us to build not only an individual. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants every individual and every lady and man and woman to purify themselves, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to build community. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to build international community that lives to its potential based on justice, peace, cooperation, and worship, and then propagating the true, authentic, ethical values that Allah want us to live on it, so we can achieve perfection, and He can move us to the eternal, happy life in Al-Jannah after death. No. Your main purpose is not only to live 2 years, or 10 years, or 15 years, or 20 years, or 70 years, or 80 years, or 90 years, and then what? That's it. All these miracles in the creation, all this wonderful, coordinated creation that Allah created for people to do what? Live few days? Average life expectancy of a person is 70 years. Half of it you sleep. You spend half of your life sleeping. Left you with what? 35 years? 8 hours per day you work. That's 2/3 of your life is gone between sleeping and working. And then entertaining yourself, traveling, eating. What's left? Only little. What is this little for? God created us for this little for what? No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us for a higher purpose than that. Allah created us to achieve our own happiness, and we shall fulfill this happiness by being loyal to Allah and by worshiping Allah based on knowledge. Once we know Allah, and once we know His Prophet, once we know Al-Quran, once we know Al-Halal, once we know Al-Haram, and we act on it, we shall achieve what we call peace, tranquility, regardless of how much money you make, how many property you have, how many kids Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you. It doesn't matter. What matters is your state of your inner peace. Everybody is running to achieve happiness. Some people, they think happiness related to wealth. They work night and day in order to gain materialistic gain, and after they achieve it, if they achieve it, they get disappointed. It's not there. The other extreme, people go and avoid being involved in their communities and in life, and they isolate themselves somewhere, and they say they don't want to contact anyone, they do not want to interrelate with anyone, they do not want to socialize. I don't want to go to the mosque, I don't want to go to the center. This guy, I don't like him. This guy who's running the show, I don't get along with him, and what so have you. They isolate themselves in their own little world. That's the other extreme. Allah rejects that. وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. You are a nation of moderation. Do your job individually, build yourself individually. Stay with Allah by yourself at night, Salatul Layl, but go to work for your family, produce for yourself, improve yourself, take care of your body, take care of your soul, take care of your mind, and take care of your community, and learn how to get along with others, and especially the believers. Let me tell you something. I want to be frank. And I deliver this message to me before I deliver it to anybody. Some people, they choose to be a Muslim activists. They want to work to propagate Islam. They want to run shows. And they want to be on the board of an organization. They want to build a center. Sisters and brothers, adults and young men, they want to work. They are motivated. They have good intention. They want to utilize the abilities that Allah gave them for the sake of Allah. Doesn't matter who's running the show, they just want to serve. Others, they want to serve based on what is it for me. Others wants to serve based on I need to run the show. I am the chief. I don't care who is the Indian. And some people are like that. How do we deal with the situation from the Islamic point of view? How do we deal with it? The best example that I can give, if you want to be working as a leader for the community, you need to start working on yourself first. You will gain authenticity and truthfulness between you and Allah. When Allah, alaykum salam wa rahmah wa ikram, salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, يا أيها الذين آمنوا لما تقولوا ما لا تفعلوا. Why do you say things you don't do it? Why do you promise and you don't act on your promises? Allah detests that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in al-ayah, He detests this in al-mu'min. And we, from me and to the rest of the population, we make a lot of promises we cannot keep sometimes. So control that. Second, if you want to work with people, don't expect everybody to think like you. Do not expect everybody to see the picture the same way you see it. And I'm going to tell you this example. And I want to be as brief as possible to go back to the same subject. In one of the schools, the teacher was giving us a lesson, and then all of a sudden he said, a maintenance man is coming to the classroom, he's gonna fix and maintain something in the room. Don't pay attention to it, just let's keep the lesson running. And it's true. Maintenance man came in with a ladder, puts the ladder, stood up on the roof. What did he do? He cleaned the lamp, he changed the bulb. And then he left. And then the teacher said, okay, I want you to stop. I want you on a piece of paper with your pen to tell me what you have observed. Everybody should write what you have observed. There were about 40 students in the class. And then when the teacher took the results in his hand, he was laughing. Not a single description matched the other. Everybody wrote what he thought saw the truth. One guy said he was wearing a hat. The other guy said he was bald. The other guy said he has long hair. The other guy said he fixed the window. The other guy said he fixed the air condition. The other guy said he fixed the bulb. The other guy said he had wooden leather, aluminum leather. He was wearing jeans. People see things differently. Not necessarily that they want to lie intentionally. Because sometimes people don't pay attention in what they want to say based on what they see. This is why Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam said, the difference between the truth and falsehood is 4 fingers. And he put his hand like that. What does that mean? Hearing versus what? Seeing. Hearing versus seeing. A lot of rumors can go around, can create a fitna. And nobody knows who initiated it. And people adapt it. And people build on it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala denounced that in the Quran. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٌ. Do not take a stand on anything that you have no knowledge of. إِنَّ السَّمْعَ وَالْبَصَرَ وَالْفُؤَادَ كُلٌّ أُولَٰئِكَ كَانَ عَنْهُ مسؤولة. What you hear, what you see, what you think, when you say based on what you think, it is all accountable in the eyes of Allah. Does it match the truth or not? So to make the story short, if you want to be a leader in a community, you have to study about Nuh. Particularly about Nuh. And you have to study about Ayyub alayhi salam, particularly about Ayyub. And you have to observe the behavior of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. With Nuh, come on, people, listen to this. With Nuh, he stayed with his people 950 years. And we spend here in a community, we spend what, 10 years, 15 years, and then we grow old and our hair gets, white, and we are about to give the towel. We're going to throw the towel. No. Think about Nuh. إني دعوت قومي ليلا ونهارا. Nuh alayhi salam delivering the same message with the same people in the same community for 950 years. And he didn't give up. And if Allah did not tell him, that's it, he would have continued. Because Allah would extend the time after time after time, until in His ilm, Ya Nuh, build the ship, embark the ship, put the animals on the ship, put the birds of the creatures on the ship, that's it. 950 years. And you are on the mouse, you spend 2 years or 3 years, you're about to give up. Think about Ayyub alayhi salam. Ayyub. Think about Yaqub alayhi salam. Think about Musa and Harun. When they made a dua, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in al-ayah, your dua ustujib. Yani Allah said to Musa alayhi salam and Harun alayhi salam, I will answer your dua fastaqima. Stay on the straight path and do not follow the ignorance. قد أجيبت دعوتكما. Yani I answer your call. And Imam al-Sadiq is telling us between al-dua and al-istijaba there were 40 years. 40 years. From the time they made a dua until the time al-Faraj came. 40 years. ولنا إسوة برسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. We have an excellent example with Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وآله. He was alone. Life magazine is one of its issues. In a survey, he was chosen to be the most effective individual in the course of the human history. Why? Because usually the society affects the individual much more than the individual affects the society. When you grow up, the environment that you live in will shape you. And then you will adapt to the environment. Not that many instances where one single individual would change the whole environment. Rarely. This is the role of the reformers. That was Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. One single person walking alone in Mecca, in a short period of time was able to change the world. He changed the world. And he switched a society that was based on al-jahiliyyah, ignorant time, the worst behavior you could ever imagine, into a very civilized community that produced one of the most vibrant civilizations in history of mankind. But he endured a lot. He was ridiculed. And that is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, much better than me and you. He was ridiculed. He was hurt. He was persecuted. He he was forced to migrate. They put economic siege around him. He has seen his own followers being killed and tortured in front of his own eyes. In the state of sujood, they would send all these ignorant children to throw stones on him and to throw the dirt on him, and he would respond with high ethical behavior, and he would raise his hand to the sky and he would say, Ya Allah, forgive my people, they have no knowledge. اغفر لقومي فإنهم لا يعلمون. Why? He is a mercy to the creation, mercy. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ, as we said, إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. So Allah sent Al-Quran to defend Al-Anbiya. He defended Al-Anbiya. He defended Ismail. He defended Ibrahim. You go in the Holy Bible today, they say, the books say terrible thing about Ibrahim alayhi salam. I am ashamed even to say it. They don't think Ismail is a legitimate child. Can you believe this? Can you imagine this? A prophet would commit an adultery, wal-iyadu billah. Why? They don't want to accept polygamy. So they said, oh, he did this, and Ismail was born from illegitimate wedding. Wal-iyadu billah. They illustrate Sulaiman in such a fashion that you would be appalled, worshipping idols, slaughtering 1,000 horse, enslaving tens of thousands of women. Do you believe a prophet would do this? Why would Allah choose a prophet who is behaving like that? Dawood alayhi salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, each and every prophet from what I mentioned to you in Surah Al-Anbiya, read Surah Al-Anbiya, it made you cry. Surah Al-Anbiya, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised to defend Al-Anbiya, and Allah defends you and me. Inna Allah yudafi'u 'anil ladina amanu. If you put your trust on Allah, if you work towards Allah sincerely, if you show some patience for the sake of Allah, if you hold your anger for the sake of Allah, if you control your frustration for the sake of Allah, Allah shall protect you and defend you and make your legacy prevail. And He will install the love of people towards you in their hearts because you loved Him. واذكر في الكتاب إبراهيم إنه كان صديقا نبيا. واذكر في الكتاب موسى إنه كان مخلصا وكان رسولا نبيا. واذكر, tell them, mention sincere prophets, they were sincere. What was the karama of Allah, from Allah towards Ibrahim? He made him his friend, he befriended him. So when they wanted to kill him, and when they want to throw him in the fire that they have erected to punish him because he ridiculed their gods that they made with their own hands, and they would worship what they had made in their own hands, they decided to kill him and torture him, and they want to throw him in the fire that they have erected. And what did Allah do? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ya naaru kuni bardan wa salaman ala Ibrahim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took the ability from the fire to burn. And it tells you a lot. Allah is beyond every motion. Allah puts the characteristics of burning in the fire. If He takes it, it's not going to burn you anymore. When you are thirsty and you drink, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. I am not thirsty anymore. It is not the water that quenched your thirst. It is Allah that quenched your thirst. Why? Allah put the ability in the water to quench your thirst. If he takes that ability, it doesn't matter. So when you read, when you write with what? With pen. If you don't have the pen, I don't see your writing. But if I want to refer who is the writer, do I say the great pen did the writing or the person who moved the pen? The person who is behind the pen. Al-Anbiya, salamullahi alayhim, Dawood, the karama from Allah on Dawood, every time he wants to do at-tasbih, and then the mountains would do at-tasbih with him. And then the trees would do at-tasbih with him. And then the flowers would do at-tasbih with him. And then everything around him would do at-tasbih with him. And then Sulaiman alayhi salam was saying, Ayyuhan ya ayyuhan nas, Allah taught us the logic of communicating with animals and with insects. This is why he heard the ant speaking. He heard it. And that's no different from the karama of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi in this hadith that said, Utitu jawami al-kalam. I was given all the ability to speak all tongues, all languages. So Sulaiman was sadiq, was a good prophet, was sincere prophet. Dawood was the same. Isa was the same. And Allah defended Maryam alayhi salam because a lot of people who did not believe in Jesus and who did not believe in the Holy Mary as his mother, they have said terrible things about her. And they associated her act with al-fahisha wal-iyazu billah. Allah defended her. Allah spoke about Maryam in such a way that he made her immortal in the holy book of Al-Quran and exposed her spirituality without any doubt and her holiness. واذكر في كتابي Maryam, mentioned the name of Maryam when she decided to stay away from her people. And then Jibreel was shown to her and he told her, I am here in order to grant you a smart, good son. How can I have a son when I have not been touched by human? That is the will of Allah, and it has been done. And the miracle of Mary is incredible. From the moment she left till the moment she conceived, till the moment she had the baby Jesus alayhi salam, Allah used the letter Fa. فحملته فانتبذت به مكانا قصيا فأجاءها المخاض إلى جذع فاء التحقيق. This letter Fa indicates that the events went successively. So she did not stay 9 months to deliver him. It took 9 hours, maybe 10 hours. That's a miracle of Maryam. والتي أحصنت فرجها وجعلناها وابنها آية للعالمين. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala purified her and gave her a lot of karama and made her dua mustajab and gave her the rizq without working for it and asked her to work for the rizq when she became pregnant. And Allah defended Musa alayhi salam. And Allah defended Ismail, Sadiq al-Wa'ad, truthful in his promise. And Allah defended Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لقد جاءكم رسول من أنفسكم عزيز عليه ما عنتم حريص عليكم بالمؤمنين رؤوف رحيم. لقد جاءكم رسول من أنفسكم. Allah had brought a prophet to you from among you. عزيز عليه ما عنتم. It's very important to him what you go through, how you feel, how you react, what's your condition, what's your state of being. He's interested in your state of being. عزيز عليه ما عنتم حريص عليكم. حريص always caring about you. About you who? You, the pronoun belongs to who? Can someone tell me? Belongs to all al-mu'mineen from his time and before his time until the end of time. حريص عليكم بالمؤمنين رؤوف رحيم. المؤمنين, he is extremely compassionate, merciful to the believers. I will tell you a sign and an act of the mercy of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. Salawat.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
الآية بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وما منكم إلا واردها كان على ربك حتما مقضيا. And the revelation stopped. What is this translation of this ayah? Al-ayah revealed, said, every and each one of you will go into Jahannam. It has been decided, it has been decreed, and nobody will be away from this decree. وَمَا مِنْكُمْ إِلَّا وَارِدُهَا. Each and every one will go through it. Through who? Jahannam. كَانَ عَلَى رَبِّكَ حَتْمًا مَقْضِيًّا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it a qada, and the revelation stopped, and the believers get scared. And they start crying. And the revelation stopped. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. And then Jibreel descended, and Jibreel was not in a happy mood, neither in a happy mood. And he said, Ya Muhammad, inna al-Ali al-A'la recite as-salam on you, and he is informing you about the classification of the stages of hellfire, Jahannam. 7 layers. إن المنافقين في الدرك الأسفل من النار. The first stage and the worst is the abode and the place of the hypocrites. And then the second group, al-mushrikeen, al-kuffar, al-mulhideen, and on the 7th stage, Jibreel stopped. As respect for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, he stopped. Rasulullah immediately started crying. He started crying. He said, the 7th layer is for the sinners of my ummah, ya Jibreel. He said, yes. He started crying for you and me. He started crying for you and me. And he spent days and nights in a state of sujood, and in a state of dua, and in a state of sadness, and begging Allah to save his ummah. And then the hypocrites came and made things more difficult for him. Oh, Allah left you. Oh, Allah turned his back on you. Oh, Allah does not want you anymore. Oh, the revelation is not coming, until the revelation came. وَالصُّورَةُ الضُّحَى بِسْمِ اللَّهِ الرَّحْمَنِ الرَّحِيمِ وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى مَا وَدَّعَكَ رَبُّكَ وَمَا قَلَى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with this revelation, he loves his beloved creature. To what point he loves him? Because he is taking an oath by himself to tell him that I am telling you the truth, Ya Muhammad. I swear by the duha. I swear by the motion of the night. I swear by the motion of the day. Allah will never say goodbye to you. ما ودعك ربك وما قلى. وَلَلْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنَ الْأُولَى. Life after death, that life that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to have, is much better than this limited one in ad-dunya. And he said, and he gave him an ayah that is considered, according to Ahlul Bayt and according to Al-Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, the most merciful ayah in the book of Allah. وَلَسَوْفَ يُعْطِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. And Allah shall give you something you shall be pleased with. Where is it that Allah promised Muhammad in that surah? Where is it? Allah gave him what he wanted. Allah appointed him as a prophet. Allah told him, I love you. Allah told him, are infallible. Allah told him, I'm not going to punish you. Allah told him, I'm not going to scare you. Allah told him, Al-Maqam al-Mahmud. Allah said, I will elevate your legacy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the immunity of making mistakes and what so have you. And then yet, he revealed this ayah, وَلَسَوْفَ يُعْطِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. What is it? And Allah shall give you something you shall be pleased with. And when they asked him, he laughed and he said, Allah granted me a shafa'ah for my ummah. Allah granted me intercession. To intercede. Then he would sit and he would go, Ahin to me, my beloved ones. Ahin to meet my beloved ones. And they say, the companions around him, who are your beloved ones? We? He says, no, you are on khair. You are okay. But my beloved ones are the generations after you who believed in me without seeing me. These are my beloved ones. For this reason, Muhammad is a rahmah. For this reason, Hussein is a rahmah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put Al-Hussein in a very special bala and very special test. And we learn from this Ashura so many lessons. And then since Al-Hussein is part of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, he also cared for me and you. So he went to set the example for generations to come. Never, never, never yield to oppression. Never stand with oppression. Never give loyalty to a tyrant. وَلَا تَرْكَنُوا إِلَى الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا فَتَمَسَّكُمْ النَّارِ. And Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, in one instance, he would cry over his own enemies. A few minutes, inshallah, we will end this session. Bear with me. Bear with me, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant you a lot of thawab. There's only 10 days of Muharram, and I know some of you have a long distance to cross, but I have to give the subject what it deserves, and then I will go as fast as I can. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam posed a question to his enemies. Why they were not yielding? Why, if there are 34,000 people or soldiers surrounding him and he was pleading with them time after time, speech after speech, only few of them left and only one leader turned into his own rank, into his own group? Why? You would think if an imam comes to us right now, he will convince each and every one of us because he's eloquent, he's a man of wisdom, he's a man of intelligence, ma'soom. Why? He was not effective. Some people, that's what they say. He was not effective in convincing the people to leave him. No, it has nothing to do with his speech, because he gave an excellent speech. He gave an excellent proof. He gave an excellent hujjah. He spoke to them. Do you know me? Do you know who I am? Do you know who I represent? Do you know my father? Do you know my mother? Do you know my grandfather? Do you know my grandmother? Do you know the Quran? Have you read Ayatul Mawadda, Ayatul Mubahala, Hadithul Kisa? Have you read this ayah, this surah, what so have you read? Oh, sorry. Yes, we did, but we only want one thing from you, is to give allegiance to Yazid, to endorse him. And he said, I can't, it is haram. And then he said a very important statement. When Habib ibn Muzahir wanted to give the last speech in the battle, he says, Ya Habib, don't even waste your breath anymore. And he said his famous statement, مُلِئَتْ بُطُونَكُمْ بِالْحَرَامِ. مُلِئَتْ بُطُونَكُمْ بِالْحَرَامِ. Your stomach are filled with sinful food, sinful earnings. This is why. make sure your income is halal. Make sure the food that you eat is what? Halal. Do not earn money from al-haram. It will turn your character to reject the truth. And do not let your children grow in al-haram. Only in al-halal. It will increase the chances of accepting the truth. Time after time he pled with them and they did not respond because of the al-haram they have committed, al-haram they have grew up on it, and al-haram that they ate, and al-mal al-haram that they have earned. This is why they rejected the message of Imam al-Hussein. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وبارك على محمد وآل محمد. What choice you want to make? You want people to respect you and love you based on your excellent character and behavior, or you want people to reject you because of your terrible legacy? Do you need a lot of money and weapons and power so people can love you? No. If you love Allah and you are sincere to Allah and you are a muttaqi or a muttaqiya, then Allah shall love you and make people also able to love you. That is the legacy of our A'immah. Al-Imam Ali ibn Hussein alayhi salam. Al-Imam Ali ibn Hussein alayhi salam. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. One leader of Bani Umayyah, he was coming to Al-Hajj, belongs to Ali Marwan. And his army was with him, contingency of few thousand soldiers. And he wanted to touch Al-Kaaba, he wanted to touch the stone. He couldn't. The crowd was so huge, and he couldn't. He became tired. He sat in a special place surrounded by his guards, and he was watching thousands of people doing al-tawaf. All of a sudden, he had seen something unusual. He saw a man with piety and with nur in his face walking, and all the crowd, as an act of respect, they opened the rows for him. Rows. He himself, as a military leader, could not reach the stone. With the soldiers beating the people to make way for him, failed. Why this man? People were rows splitting for him. And then he said, who is this man? Who is he? Right next to him there was the famous poet, his name is Al-Farazdak. He says, you don't know him? He says, no. He says, هذا علي بن الحسين ابن فاطمة بنت محمد. هذا الذي تعرف البطحاء وطأته والبيت يعرفه والحل والحرم. هذا ابن خير عباد الله كلهم. هذا التقي النقي الطاهر العلم. هذا ابن فاطمة إن كنت جاهل بجده. أنبياء الله قد ختموا. وما قولك من هذا بظاهره. العرب تعرف من أنكرت والعجم ما قال لا قط إلا في تشهده. نعم يقضي حياء ويقضى من منابته فلا يكلم إلا حين يبتسم. This man, Ali ibn Hussein alayhi salam, was in the battle of Karbala, but he was sick. You could imagine the situation when he would see a tough situation where his father has to defend the family and his uncles and his nephews and his close beloved one would be killed in the battlefield in front of his own eyes, and he cannot move because he was sick. And you could imagine the situation of this man, of this holy man who had witnessed the tragedy with all its details, and he would never lose his faith, and he would never lose his composure, and he would never lose his iman, and he would spend all his life teaching the generation after generation the style of supplications on every occasion. He had seen the martyrdom of his father. He had seen Sabyul Nisa. He buried the bodies of the holy ones, and he kept his patience, and he kept his iman, and he never changed. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. من المؤمنين رجال صدقوا ما عاهدوا الله عليه فمنهم من قضى نحبه ومنهم من ينتظر وما بدلوا تبديلا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وبارك على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إني أسألك يا الله بجلال وجهك وبأسمائك الحسنى وأمثالك العليا إلا صليت على محمد وآل محمد وفرجت همنا يا الله وبددت غمنا يا الله وشفيت مرضانا يا الله وغفرت ذنوبنا يا الله وألفت بين قلوبنا على محبتك وطاعتك. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم فك أسر المسلمين من أيدي الظالمين. اللهم فك بلاد المسلمين من حكم الظالمين. اللهم اجمعنا على الخير والهدى وكلمة التقوى وأعنا على أنفسنا لما تعين به الصالحين على أنفسهم. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. And please for أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات الفاتحة for السيدة أشرف الصيف brother علي أكبر عسكري شهيد إسماعيلي brother مسعود رحيمي and